What a mental week. Part of my story has involved having conversations with certain people, and one of those people is Andy Weir, who is head of adult mental health services, and I've spoken to him a little bit more than someone else I contacted today, who is Tom Binney. Not just today, I contacted him yesterday as well, and he's sheepishly skirting around, avoiding having a conversation with me, whereas Andy is being a little bit more engaging. And one of the things that I discussed with him or let him know about out of courtesy is time constraints that I've had, whereas being able to disclose certain things, and I'm at a point in time where, irrespective to him or others or whatever, I'm quite able to be open and honest about the fact that in 2005 I co-founded Palo Alto Networks and Anonymous, the notorious hacker group. It's a bit mad, really, but there's a fundamental reason why I've never been indicted for those activities, and I'm sitting here today and I'm being open and honest about it because it's part of my job. And when I get these stupid little dilemmas with doctors who are so fucking clueless to things outside their little world, it's unreal. My last experience with Medican was 2 doctors, the first of which, at part of a conversation, she turned around and said to me, "I'm just a GP." I don't know whether she was like trying to test me in terms of this bullshit grandiosity. I mean, I couldn't be more humble if I tried. But the way I interpreted that was simply, she's not a specialist. Yeah, she's not a person who has gone through the rigmarole of qualifying herself in psychology, for example, or other specialisms. A general practitioner is a general practitioner. It only requires a broad education in medicine, and I simply respect that. But the way in which I respond could be easily misinterpreted. And in the second meeting that I had with Medicam was with a different doctor, and it impinged on internet security related issues. And I've already gone live about this earlier, and I know it's a Friday evening, so not many people will see this until such and such a time, you know. But this doctor, in fact, in the clip that I've put on, there's 2 actually. I've done a video which got the entire 10-minute meeting, and the sounds of water and the beach and what have you is just quiet underlay the audio from the meeting to the video of the sea and what have you, and so it's quiet. But I have done a clip, the most important clip, where she tries to shut me down when talking about internet security, which she has fucking no idea about, because she's a doctor, she's a GP, So she's not even specialized, although she's got a specialism with cannabis dispensary. But she has got no Scooby-Doo whatsoever when it comes to infiltrating networks, application manipulation, spoofing, and all the other techniques that could be utilized in making an attack on a vulnerable network. And it's just an absolute farce. She couldn't even actually shut me down correctly in respect of that internet security. In fact, she just dug herself a hole in the way that she coined her accusation. Of course, I can say coined with a little bit of tongue in cheek, because there's a lack of acceptance about the fact that I wrote the Bitcoin white paper. And it's not really a big thing for me, because I think that there are much more like accomplishments that like I feel are achievements that are above and beyond Bitcoin. I'm truly humbled the way that people, colleagues of mine, relating and pertaining to that, speak about me with such reverence. It's just mental. I can't compute it. I can't get my head around it, and so I don't discard it. I'm very proud of the way in which some particular people speak about me in that regard, but I can't digest it. So I have to just let it go and be humble and get on with my life, and that's what I do. You know, just poodle about, go fishing or whatever, or go and get some food, maybe play guitar from time to time, and try to have walks to try and get around the topics of like losing my parents and more recently my auntie. And then that brings up like long-term issues pertaining like to losing my eldest brother. But we lost our first born. My parents, went through a lot of struggles, and because of myself and my remaining two brothers as well, the ordeals that they had to put up with through the years because of this blindness. Back in the day, there wasn't bereavement counselling. Back when we lost my eldest brother, we just kind of carried on regardless, with no real family discussion either. It wasn't a topic that was really properly broached. There was some private conversations, one-to-one, at least that I had, with various family members, but there wasn't really a cohesive approach to the way that we lost a key member of our family. At the beginning of this stream, I was ripping into people that work at Medican, but it relates to the absolutely astoundingly poor quality of service from the adult mental health service. Clarkson House offer a very formidable bereavement counselling service, but it's limited in its capability, and of course it's closer to people that go through that sad experience of that particular facility, and rightly so. That service should be restricted to maybe completely to people that go through that difficulty, that ordeal. The adult mental health service, and the youth mental health service as well, whatever that's actually CAMS, I guess, would be the area for that. But like, they should be fully equipped to cope with bereavement counselling for individuals, families, and they're absolutely fucked in their service provision. It's just diabolical. I had a conversation with Andy Weir today, and I was talking to him about some of the things that I discussed with this Dr. Ali. I don't know how new he is in the service, but he's an absolute reprobate, to use the word. Him and this person who's been assigned as a care coordinator for me, which he's been very helpful in terms of giving me time for discussions whilst there was no doctor available at all, or whilst doctors were on holiday and didn't have time, and all that sort of thing. He filled in like a counsellor or a support work sort of person, which may be sort of outside of his remit, his role. But so disgusting is the way that organization is working that, for example, yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before, I had this meeting with them. It was like he was using the experience that he had gained in speaking with me in those times against me. And that could be perceived as paranoid, but I recorded the fucking appointment. So I can refer to things the way that I need to without fear of reprisals and being labelled as fucking paranoid just so that they can knock off something on their list and cast someone aside and leave them to fucking rot so that they can move on to the next person's life that they're going to fucking ruin. The place needs such an overhaul, and Andy Weir is responsible for that. He's the director, and he's the person that I'm needing to reach out to for help, because he was assigned to a secondary care governance investigation. It's like the epitome of corruption. And like, if only I could have a calm and relaxed conversation with Stuart Sivray. The poor guy went through so much shit in trying to deal with sorting out the health service over here, and not just the health service, but of course related to the atrocious wrongdoings that occurred in some of the care homes and what have you. And like, I haven't got to contend with that depth of corruption, but I've got to contend with the mediocre depth of corruption that's pertaining to the mini cabal, which is linked to Robert Gregg and his colleague from the practice across the way at the near the Horizon development, where I can't remember what the practice is called there, but they worked in the same doctor's surgery. And she's like, without like any sort of compos mentis sort of thought that could be applied, or any logic to the process she was using, backing this guy up, and like, it's like, well, hang on a minute, have you listened to a word I've said? And she just fucking like snowball it, override it, ignore, and ripple on with her bullshit. And she couldn't even, like, I mentioned this in the stream earlier, she couldn't even like list the basic tenets of PTSD. That's how well qualified she was in her role. And also, when I had picked her up on a black and white thing, piece of evidence for the care coordinator, sorry, not the care coordinator, for the secondary care governance investigation, I've got black and white, she's just guilty, she's right there, right? And he's got the paperwork, and she knew. And when I made it official, within a month, she'd left. And when I was asking where my doctor was and when I could speak to her, because I wanted to iron these problems out, I was told that she'd gone. There was no notice of, oh, by the way, we're going to have to change your doctor, she's going to be leaving soon, she handed in a notice. It was simply, she got caught out like a fucking rabbit in the headlights and thought, shit, I've got to get out of here. And when she started her stupid little practice over the way, on the Horizon development, she had nothing listed to do with psychiatry, and I pulled that up. I was like, what, is she just trying to rinse it like she had nothing to do with psychiatry? And then soon after, she added it to her little specialisms. she should be fucking struck off. Absolutely. And I've been waiting for this secondary care governance investigation for like going on 3 years now. And I've said to them, if it hadn't have been for cannabis and the use of magic truffles when I've been across to Amsterdam, which absolutely depletes suicidal ideation. It completely, like, I won't say cures it, because it comes back after some time. Like, if I do the magic truffle sessions, they'll completely sort of like cure the suicidal ideation for about 6, 9, maybe I'm lucky for 12 months, and I don't really have anything like that. And that's not a sympathy vote thing, by the way, because I haven't got suicidal tendencies. It's just this horrible ideation thing that I've had since the age of about like 5 or whatever. Strange to deal with as a child, but as an adult, in reflection, it's like, oh my God, man, how could anyone go through that? And I really wish that I was in a position to be able to help, whether it's like kids or adults or whatever. But sadly, having been labelled the way that I have, it's not only preventing me from being able to help people in that way, but it's also interrupting my career abroad, which has been extensive. As a lot of people know, I was out of the island for an excess of 10 years, and in countries where I've needed to have extended background checks, for example. And then since coming back in 2021, and this Robert Gregg has started to put black marks on my name and my medical records, I am now in a situation where I can't get a clear extended background check. And what those black marks on my medical records are based upon is his own delusion, right? And he's run away after putting this in my medical records, and now he's actually a fucking consultant to the medical board or whatever it is, or something to do with the directorate of health services or the hospital directly, and removed himself, just left me with this shit stain on my medical records. And a couple of doctors have done that since as well on his behalf. And after walking out of adult mental health services, and I did a little stream before I was going in there as well, because I was talking about some things openly, honestly, because I don't think there should be any stigma for anyone who needs to go and visit that place, because it doesn't mean that someone suffers from something serious or nefarious or whatever. Like myself, I simply needed to go in for bereavement counselling, and I also struggle with PTSD. That's not to say that I'm better or worse or whatever than anyone else. It's just that people, like in the US, it's like weird if you haven't got a psychotherapist. Yeah, it's like not fashionable, I wouldn't say, but it's just an accepted part of life. It's deemed as strange if you haven't got a psychotherapist or psychiatrist or a psychologist. You know, but here in the UK, it holds a lot of stigma, and it can also ruin your employment prospects. But getting to that point, I've got these doctors, and I've spoken to Andy Weir, and he's all nice on the phone. And I remember when he first took his position in directing adult mental health services, and I had started experiencing problems with Jasmine Kurian, who I mentioned earlier, was the person who followed up from Robert Gregg, and they worked in the same practice. And when I found that out, I was just fucking livid. But anyway, when I had those problems with Jasmine Kurian, Andy Weir was phoning me on an almost daily basis at one point. And as soon as Tom Binney, who was very disgustingly putting pressure on my parents to sell their house, which ruined my mum's health, and then she died like a year later. Yeah, that's what he did to my parents, Tom Binney. Once he got into that seat of being a minister for health, Andy started, or should I say stopped, being so communicative. And it's like, if I refer to that, it'll be, oh, what are you on about, Neil? You paranoid? It's like, nah, this is Jersey. It's corrupt as fuck. And people are in a right shitty situation. And I'm not going to be referring to the poor lad who lost his life because that stupid asshole critical support system didn't fucking answer his calls. I'm not going to be referring to that out of pity and trying to use that as gravity. I think it's fucking disgusting. And if I can bring my problems to the forefront and be open and honest to the public about it, and trying to sort out and cut through all of the shit that they've put me through, and it helps prevent another person going through what that poor lad went through, then I just hope that that will be helpful. And so that means that I'm going to be putting my fucking dirty laundry in the fucking public as again. And I know that I've been known for doing it before, and I've had a lot of streams where people have maybe thought, oh, shit, what the fuck's that guy doing? Da, 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 da. But in the past and up to date, there has always been a little bit of something that I've needed a special person to hear. And I know that there are my people, my watchers, my safety crew, the people that look out for me, and things get happen. I told this to Andy today, and he knows full well. And I'm going to say this, it's going to sound mad, but there is a lady called Heather McManus, and prior to Trump's inauguration, I said to her, you watch, because I've told my guys what I want. I want him flanked by tech. That's the exact words I used, and everyone can check, and everyone knows. At Trump's inauguration, he had tech either side of him, his shoulders, flanked, exactly as I requested. That sounds mad, but it's fucking true. And it is what it is. And the only person that I can have to verify that is just the words of, yeah, we did have that conversation. Because I had to tell someone. I needed someone to know that I am not fucking nuts. And I've got this strange situation where I've got connections with people who are very, very high in the tech world, the community. And that links to the foundation of Facebook, the foundation of Palo Alto Networks and Anonymous, the foundation of Twitter, fucking creation of Bitcoin. We've got Silk Road and a whole load of other stuff, like, for example, the LulzSec group, which was a break-off from the Anonymous group because I'm trying to stop some kids being fucking harassed by scumbag fucking pedos on the fucking dark web where they're trying to train up and getting involved in being able to hack. And they needed to be put into the right group, and now they're in fucking really good jobs as well, I can tell you that. Maybe one, I think, hasn't been quite so lucky as the rest of the crew, but they have been recruited by like government agencies and top fucking companies earning a shitload of money. So I know that I did exactly the right job, and I'm fucking proud of that. It was a bit of a difficult road, but it was what it was. And there's 100% reason why I haven't been fucking sent down and indicted for that, my involvement in Anonymous and LulzSec, because I was on the fucking right side of the law. And that happens with a lot of things. Some things the agencies don't agree with me, and that is things like people should be able to have an E at the weekend and be able to have a smoke of weed. And I know there are a lot of people that don't agree with me with that, but that's just the fucking way it is. So my skill set has been used in the right places, in the right times, and very successfully, which is what I was doing whilst I was abroad, and why I get worried about my personal security and the safety of my loved ones, which is ex-partners, and more importantly, my children. So if anybody wants to fuck around, they can come and find out. It's as simple as that. And Medican, I'm fucking coming for you. It's been going on for a while. Robert Gregg left. So trying to maybe help you guys out and moving on and taking this. But the thing is, you've got doctors that have continued his debacle that he created back in 20, that's how long things have been going on for. Whereas I could have been given simply a prescription for cannabis, not being needing to use the adult mental health services, which means that would have been a space, an hour or whatever it was, how many times a week or a month or whatever could have been used for someone else. And then knowing that and finding out that some poor lad has fucking lost his life because they couldn't have the capacity is fucking disgusting. So it's time to put some of the equity that I have available to me into investing in not giving away money to some shitty ass fucking establishment that can't even fucking fix a sea pool. It's going to be used in the right way to put legal pressures and make sure that things are fucking done, and our fucking lovely society that we've got here is protected and looked after, because our healthcare is not going to get improved by that dickhead Tom Binney. He's an absolute fucking bumperklutz, and it speaks for itself in the fact that he has to review his own fucking review of the review process of getting that fucking signing off of the contract for building the fucking hospital, which took fucking 10 million years too long in the fucking first place. Okay, now I'm going on to a bit of a breathless rant, but that's because I'm out of breath. Excuse me whilst I just get a glass of water. I think I might end there. I don't know. Maybe I should carry on. But at the end of the day, those are the people that are responsible. Andy Weir, more directly to blame for the wrongdoings of Adult Mental Health Services, and of course, ultimately, Tom Binney. And maybe there are people that will hear this and think, actually, Tom's an alright guy. Well, I can tell you now, sit down and have a conversation with him about things that he doesn't want to talk about, and you'll soon find out what kind of person he is, and actually do some digging around people that have had experiences with him. Like, for example, me. I went and visited him in 2016, and I said to him, the business deal that you've got with my brother, do not force my parents to sell their house. It'll kill my mother. She's ill. She's not well, and I can help sort this problem out. And I just left it at that. And what did he do? He went ahead and forced the sale of my parents' house. My mum, it broke her heart. She built that house. My dad had a really bad back, and my mum was the income provider, and she paid to build that fucking house. And it was lost because my brother is a fucking dickhead. And when I had a conversation with someone who should have had a bit more caliber and a bit more decency, which is Tom Binney, all he could think about is the same kind of mindset as back in the day when he was in Jersey Royal Potato Company and he went around pilfering people's farms after having pushed fucking Price Market to pressure the smaller farmers, and then he went and bought up their land on the cheap because they were struggling financially. That's the type of cunt he is, and why he should not be in office. And I'm not pissed. I'm perfectly sober. I'm a bit tired. It's been a long day, and I've had a bit of a sunburn because I've been fishing. Very grateful to a fellow. I won't say the fellowship that I was going to refer to, but very kindly gifted. He won't mind me mentioning his name. Steve O'Brien is an absolute legend. He's been a fisherman for years, and he knew that I was going through a bit of struggles, and I'd been asking online if anyone had got a rod that I might be able to acquire or buy cheap, and he gifted me some kit and then sent me to see someone, and they also gifted me some kit as well. I'm so grateful for that. It's just a nice basic setup, and so this is what it is to be humble. Yeah, it didn't cost much. It's not like it's mega expensive, and it's not needed, you know. But in those moments where I need to go and just be on my own, and I can cast a line out, and I reflect back on what those two guys gave me to be able to do that, that's fucking real gratitude. That's real help. You won't get Tom Binney doing something like that. All he's interested in is getting money in his pocket and getting himself an extra little vehicle to ride around on, because he's a cunt. I don't like using bad words after speaking about important things, but at the end of the day, I'm going to finish on that because it's the truth. And I really would like it if other people who are going through difficulties with that shitty ass fucking organisation, Adult Mental Health Services, get in touch, please, because I'm going to be putting together a campaign which is going to take a legal approach, which could in fact be a class action, because there are lots of people that have had difficulties with that place, and I would much rather do something that's going to benefit a whole and not just my situation. But even in attending to my own situation, I hope that it's going to have a positive effect. And I already have discussions with Andy Weir about policy and procedure. That was one of the main bones of contention back with Kurian. It was a policy and it was a procedural thing. She was non-compliant with the way in which she should have handled paperwork, and to hurt me as well. So that was an interesting thing to find out, and I love compliance. People that don't comply have learnt the hard way where it comes to the organisations that I'm affiliated with. So I hope everyone has a fucking fantastic weekend, because it's going to be an absolute blazing sunshine, not just for the weekend, but the week ahead afterwards as well, as I understand it. The long-term forecast is for this lovely blazing heat. We finally got the temperature. I've been wearing a hoodie for fucking months. Even the first heat wave, I was walking around in a hoodie thinking, oh my god, when's it going to actually get hot? And it's finally here. But even then I could have done with my hoodie at some points today. So if you see me walking around a hoodie and you think I'm a weirdo, great, thank you. Say hello.